So, as your coach, I got to tell you, you need high standards, not motivation, because motivation comes and goes, but high standards, that is what stays.
Find you under all that pain. There's a fire you can't contain. Let it lead the way.
If this is your first time here, I want to say thank you so much for joining my channel and welcome. It's super windy outside right now, so you're going to hear that in the background, but I want to introduce myself. My name is Ashley Nicole. I am a women's health and life coach. So today we're talking about standards and motivation and what the difference between the two is. So motivation is what you get when maybe you see someone that inspires you on social media or in a movie, or someone that's doing something that you want to do. Or maybe you feel like today I'm ready to conquer the world, but then tomorrow you wake up and you realize that that's not enough to push you. That motivation will fade. Where standards is something that you set for yourself, right? It is something that you set that is solid. That means if I set this standard here and I'm realizing that I'm not reaching it, even if I don't feel motivated, I am going to get myself up. I am going to push myself until that standard is met. So standards are bigger than motivation. Standards could be having healthy relationships, setting boundaries, showing up on time, taking care of yourself, pouring into yourself. Those are what standards can be considered. Now, motivation, on the other hand, motivation feels more like an emotion or desire, maybe something that you want, something you want to work towards. Maybe you've seen an inspirational video or listen to a motivational song, those type of things that feel good in the moment but may not last forever. Another one could be no chaos standard. That's me. I don't really deal with a lot of drama. So I'm not going to go to places where people don't get along or people are arguing. The moment someone's arguing, I start to shut down because I just don't have that space in my life. And I do not like chaos. I don't like fighting. I don't arguing. I don't like people who are overly drunk and can't handle their liquor. Yes, I've experienced this in the past and I've been that person at one point. But when I realized that that was chaotic for me, that is a standard that I set for myself that I no longer wanted in my life. The next one is a no excuse standard, meaning there is no excuse for you taking care of your business. Even today, I knew that I had to record 2 videos and I was exhausted. So instead of me just scratching the videos completely, I took myself a nap and I got myself up because I have no excuses. Even for going to the gym this morning, I was supposed to be at the gym at 5 o'clock this morning. And I just been feeling tired lately. So instead of me skipping the gym completely, I didn't make an excuse. I said my next move is I'm still going to the gym. I'm just going a little bit later. And then there are some points where I don't even let that excuse happen. Okay, you're tired. You're always tired. Get up and go, even though it's 5 o'clock in the morning. So I wrote a list here and I am going to look down and read it to you at some things that you can set for yourself as standards. The first one would be a clean room could be a standard. Maybe you don't like mess. So your standard for yourself is that I need to be in a clean room. For me, when I start working, I love to have a clean office space because I don't feel like the creativity flows. If there's a lot of clutter around me, I definitely need to make sure that I have a clean office. I'm like that for my entire house. My standard that I set for my house is that it needs to stay clean. Not at all times. It could look lived in, but it can't be dirty and it can't look as though, animals have run amok here. The other one could be body care standards, right? Keeping up your hygiene, keeping your hair combed, your nails done, maybe your eyelashes or eyebrows or toes clipped and painted. Maybe it's making sure that you're showering every single day and brushing your teeth 2 to 3 times a day and making sure that you're flossing, making sure that you always smell good. Certain deodorants that you want to use, making sure you lotion your body every day, really taking that time, setting a standard for yourself of what you feel. Just because someone else maybe only brushes their teeth in the morning, and I'm using that as an example, doesn't mean that that's the standard for you have for yourself. Just because somebody uses regular lotion doesn't mean that that's the standard you have for yourself. Maybe you're a person who likes scented lotion. Maybe you're a person who likes using a body oil, then a lotion, then a powder. Those are the standards that you set for yourself that aren't compared to someone else's. Those are your standards. And then last but definitely not least is a financial standard. Maybe you have a standard of how much money you want to make a year. Maybe you have a standard of how much money you want to make in a week. Maybe you have a standard of how much money you're willing to take and not take. How you want your savings account to look, a standard of how you want your retirement funds to look, a standard of what you want to invest, a standard of how much money you're willing to spend or not spend. These things are set in place to build a foundation on how you want your life to go, how you want to live your life, and what you feel like is going to work for you. When your standards rise, then your life is going to follow, because we can't just bet on our life based off motivation. Every day you're not going to feel motivated. Every day you're not going to feel motivated to get up and go to work. Every day I don't feel motivated. I don't know what's going on with this piece of hair, but okay. Every day I don't feel motivated to watch a video or record a video. Every day I don't feel motivated to go to the gym. But because I set a standard for myself, I don't want to be a person who I can't wear what I want. I can only wear what my body is going to allow because I didn't work on having the body of my dreams. I don't want to only be able to go here because I can't afford it. My standards that I've set for myself is what is going to dictate the trajectory of how my life is going to move. And you could do the same for yourself. So here are two things that I wrote down for standards and motivation. Standards is going to come first. So standards, in a simple way for you to understand the difference between the two, is your standards shape your life because they influence what you accept, what you repeat, and what you prioritize. Let me say that again. Your standards shape your life because what they influence, what you are going to accept, repeat, and prioritize. Whereas motivation, it feels more like desire. Motivation gets you started, but discipline and standards are what are going to keep you feeling like you're fading out. So let me say that again. Motivation gets you started, but discipline and standards are what keeps you when you feel like you are fading. So here's a tiny little, tip or gem that I have for you. We are human and we fall short. And some days we are tired. Some days we are disappointed. Some days we are not motivated. But that doesn't mean that you have to give up. That doesn't mean you have to be a bully to yourself. That doesn't mean you have to talk bad at yourself. That doesn't mean you even have to be mad at yourself. You can reset, you can start over. And if you don't know what those standards are for yourself, or you feel like I've had the motivation, but that motivation is swaying, then take some time to write it down, get you a journal out, and start thinking about the things that you want in your life. What standards do you want in your finances? What standards do you want in your self-care? What standards do you want in your relationships with friends or in a romantic relationships? What standards do you want for your relationship with your kids? What standards do you want in a career? Write those things down because you need a starting point and you need to know what it is you're actually working for. So as your coach, I'm always going to motivate you. I'm always going to tell you that we know that things happen. We know disappointments happen. We know heartbreaks happen. We know that life happens. And I have to say this to you with love. So what? Get up. Don't let that break you. Don't let that keep you down. Don't let that keep you stagnant. There's always one thing as a human being that we can remember to do. You already know what I'm going to say if you've watched my videos before. Remember to breathe. You are capable of doing anything that you can visualize in your head can become your reality. As always, I'm going to tell you guys, like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and until next time. But guess what? No compromising. Set those boundaries for yourself. Create those standards for yourself, and never, ever, ever, ever give up on you.
Find you under all that pain. There's a fire you can't contain. Let it lead the way. You're not